Hello, this is your spoiler warning. If you don't want 2005's Bloodrayne spoiled, stop watching or listening now. Hello and welcome to Badaptation, where we watch and talk about every theatrically released video game adaptation, their sequels, tie-ins, and whatever else we fancy. I'm your host Finn, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Guy.
Hello.
This week we're delving back into the Uwe Bollocks with Boll's third Badaptation, Bloodrayne from 2005. The second we're covering, but his third one that he's made. Are you familiar at all with Bloodrayne?
I was actually just thinking about this.
Yeah.
The game.
Mm-hmm.
Not even, like, I think, vaguely remember the cover of the game.
Yeah.
Like, which was, like, her against a completely white background, maybe? Or maybe I'm just making that up. I don't know. But in my head, visually, that's what that cover is, and it says Bloodrayne.
I think it's a black background, because then
Okay.
it's more brooding, you know?
All right, well, so I got that 100% wrong. But I guess, so I don't even remember the cover, but
Yeah.
I didn't play it.
Mhm.
I have no, like, sort of connection, no appreciation. I don't know anything about the story.
Mhm.
So, you know, this is probably the first of the Badaptations we've talked about where I've come into it with, like, zero familiarity with the source material.
Yeah.
And I did not care to dip in and see if I could, like, play it or...
This didn't spark an interest.
No, it certainly did not.
I don't know, maybe the Super Mario Brothers movie itself kind of, it made me want to play the games, but that's because I was already familiar with the source material. Whereas, yeah, you're saying this one had the opposite effect.
That's right.
Yeah. So it may surprise you to know that there are as many games in the Bloodrayne gaming franchise as there are Uwe Boll movies in the movie franchise.
So what do you mean?
So there's 3 Bloodrayne movies directed by Uwe Boll, and there are 3 Bloodrayne games.
So presumably it was at one point a very successful game.
Not really.
Okay.
like you haven't heard of it? It's for good reason. Not because it was really bad,
Right.
and it wasn't really good. It was fine.
It was just a game.
It was a game.
Did you play it?
Not at all.
Okay.
I hadn't really heard about it until, you know, having to put myself through all of this. So, yeah. What's even more surprising than the 3 games that exist and 3 movies is that all of those games, despite kind of, they're okay. All of them got remakes and like re-releases, enhanced versions. Despite, like, was there much... I guess
interest in that?
it may have been like a very vocal minority of people being like, I really want to replay that game.
Kind of like Shenmue. Don't know if you heard about that one.
There was a Shenmue 3 as well, got released after, what was it, like 20 years, and it was
something
kind of like...
ridiculous, and it was not very good.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's weird. But it's also weird because from Uwe Boll's perspective,
Mhm.
House of the Dead is a very well-known arcade game.
Yes.
What's the other one? Alone in the Dark
Mhm.
is a very well-known sort of PC franchise,
Yes.
right? So to me, those two kind of make perfect sense. Like, you're trying to capitalize on this, you know, fervent fan base.
Yeah.
That could potentially be coaxed into watching the movie version of the game they love. But
Trying to get the clout of the popularity of the thing people like, instead of going, hey, you know that thing, that game, have you heard of it? Oh, maybe. All right, I'll do a movie about it.
not really, but it's got a white cover, the background of the
Yeah, he's
game. I vividly remember that.
yeah. I think you've qualified to make Bloodrayne 4.
So yes, it is weird that he was like, cool, I've got this formula, this kind of shitty formula where I take a game, a popular game series, and bastardize it.
Yep.
Now it's like I take a not particularly popular game series and bastardize that too.
Has he bastardized
Well, we don't
it?
know.
Exactly.
We can't really say this could be better than the games.
I do doubt that, but
I
maybe.
do, yeah.
It was had a better chance.
It did have a better chance.
So the first game
Yeah.
is just a run-of-the-mill hack and slash. You go around, you beat people up, kind of like you do in God of War.
Yeah.
And she's got the signature blade weapons. You know, everyone had to have like a signature thing. You know, that just makes sense. You've got a gimmick that makes you stand out from the competition. The second game is pretty much the same, but newer, but not new enough, so slightly worse, based on reviews that I've seen. And the third game is completely different. It's still a hack and slash, but it's a side scroller for the Nintendo 3DS. Wouldn't really look at this movie and think, yeah, Nintendo would love that.
No.
But, as I talked earlier, mind-bogglingly, all of these got remade or re-released as recently as 2020. They decided to go, yep, we'll remaster Bloodrayne 1, 2, and that weird third one.
People really want that.
Apparently so, but they also didn't, because there was a fourth game in the mix. It was called Bloodrayne The Shroud,
Okay.
but it was never made due to the poor sales of the one before it.
Yeah.
So the poor sales meant they couldn't get a fourth one, but they could
Remake
re-release.
the other ones.
I guess that's cheaper, though.
I suppose it is cheaper, definitely, but it's still
'Cause
depending
you're
on
double
the,
dipping.
I guess depending on the quality of the remake,
Mm.
you know, how much effort goes in. Because like with Resident Evil, they've clearly they've sunk some time into those remakes.
Yes.
Some serious time. And the same for the freaking Final Fantasy VII. They fucking...
They laboured for...
Not only, like, it's like, isn't the whole lot ever going to come out? Because it's like the first one, we go, oh, the first one is now 1/10 of the game.
Okay, so
Stay
they...
tuned for the rest.
Like, financially, that's going to be great.
Yeah.
Because
It's
you're
smart.
gonna pay 10 times the price to play a game you've already played.
Yeah.
Brilliant move. And they'll hook you for years.
Yeah.
But I've got a synopsis of this movie. Well, kind of. I've got my brief synopsis. I mean, I was going to do a synopsis about Blade instead of Bloodrayne, as they both have a lot of similarities, including, you know, blade-wielding, damp-fair protagonists with trilogies. But those are about the only similarities I could find. Plus, I did that joke for the last movie.
Well, also, isn't one of the things that, because this Rain is the main character.
Yes.
And she is a vampire, but she's a good vampire.
Half vampire, half human.
Okay, and she can walk around in the daylight.
Because she's half human, just like Blade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's where there are some distinct
Blade is the
similarities.
most famous version of
that
this.
thing. Yeah.
So Bloodrayne is a gory action movie where we follow Rain on her mission to kill her father, i.e. the man that killed her mother. That man, Kagan, is played by Sir Ben Kingsley, a man whose lists of awards and nominations has its own Wikipedia page. So, but don't let this detract you from the amount of dog shit movies he starred in, though, because this is far from the first or the last. Which has sparked a question from me to you. Well, 3. Is Ben Kingsley a good actor?
Yes.
Was Gandhi the only good performance you know from him?
No. He's very good in, I think it's Sexy Beast as well.
All right. Does he have a filmography that's far longer than his career is good?
Yes, probably. And, you know, I think he's what you would define as a working actor.
Yes.
And so he is not very, like, he doesn't hold out for Gandhi-like roles every time he's in something. I think he holds out for his next paycheck to make his next house payment.
Yes.
And and so here was that paycheck, and thus he is in this film.
Yep.
But yes, he does do some quite curious, he has a very curious take on acting in this film.
Like a lot of hype I heard for Sir Ben Kingsley when I first kind of like heard something upcoming. Oh, he's going to be in it. That's going to be great. Was when he was in Iron Man 3.
Which he was hilarious in.
But there was the backlash of, oh, that's not what we were expecting from him. They wasted him. It was...
Sure.
It's like, well, I didn't really have expectations of him other than, oh, he's a sir. He must be good at what he does.
Well, and he is. And I think...
And what he did was what he was told to do.
And what he did was, well, I think they're mad about it because he was playing the character of... what's that bad guy in the Marvel franchise?
So he was supposed to be... I was going to say
Ming the Merciless? Nah.
I was going to say the Mandalorian.
That's what I wanted to say too.
Not the Mandalorian, the Mandarin.
The Mandarin, that's
Yes.
right.
But
yes,
instead...
because there's quite a few jokes about a Mandarin.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah.
But then he ended up playing someone who was playing the part of like a fictional Mandarin within the movie.
Yeah.
And so it was a bait and switch both in the movie and to the audience watching.
Yeah.
And people were up in arms. Oh, how dare you trick me?
Yeah.
I'm not in the movie.
How dare you trick us with a plot twist? How dare you put a plot twist in this about a character? Fucking Marvel fans, what's wrong with people?
Yeah, how dare us, you. How dare
How dare you put something unexpected in a Marvel movie? We want to expect every single thing consistently in every single Marvel movie. No curveballs.
I've memorized the formula. I come in here expecting the formula. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so it was kind of weird if you look back on it through the lens of...
I just want to see the movie of the comic. No, I can't just go back and read the comic. I need to see the movie of the comic and then a TV series of that same comic.
So the Mandarin. Anyway, I thought he was great in Iron Man 3 and very funny, and clearly he can be great. I've also saw him in Gandhi. He was great in that.
And I also saw him in Love Guru.
Yeah, well, maybe that was one of the paycheck ones.
One of the dog shit ones, yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, but he's definitely, I almost feel like Ben Kingsley makes a call where he's like, look, you know, I know what this is. I know it's not going to be good. I've very easily derived this information from the director I'm working with and the script I'm reading that has been offered to me.
Yes.
And I know all of that. And in fact, and there's some more stuff that I think is kind of interesting, but I do think there's also this idea that essentially you get some of these types of actors in, but you basically have them for like a couple of days and you shoot out all their scenes in those couple of days, which means that you can essentially pay them, let's just say, hypothetically, $20,000 or $25,000, which is not that much in the scope of a movie.
Like when you've got like a $6 million budget or something like that.
But it's also not asking much of them in terms of like, because, you know, like a big budget Hollywood movie, you go, cool, we need you for 6 months. Then it's like, cool, well, you have to pay me $25,000 a week for those 6 months. You know, whereas here it's like, well, we need you for a couple of days. Okay, well, that'll be $25,000. That's a great payday for me for working 2 days. But you can also see that I feel like he's made an assessment, Ben Kingsley, in this, where he's like, yeah, this is going to be bad. Yeah. So I'm going to pitch a bad take to Uwe Boll on how I should act in this, which is going to allow me to really fucking coast and really do the absolute bare minimum at the time I'm on set. And this take, and he's just going to accept because I'm Sir Ben Kingsley, which he did. And this is what we have, which is like, you know, he was better in The Love Guru than this.
Yeah. He was paid more.
But really, like, it's really weird. And you almost have to wonder, you're like, did he even memorize his lines, or did he have his lines just off camera? Because his whole, I guess, performance in this is monotone.
Yeah.
Wooden.
Yes.
But also delivering his lines not looking quite like it's almost like he's in a trance talking.
Yeah.
Like he's in a trance and he's just talking like into the distance, right? But not to whoever he is actually having the conversation with. As if the lines is just off camera and he's like, yeah, so just put him up there because this is my take on the character. He doesn't have emotions because he's Dracula, you know? So,
that's what he's convinced Uwe Boll
exactly.
of. So
basically, Sir Ben Kingsley's taken Uwe Boll for a ride in the sense that he's like, look, I'm literally not even acting in this. I'm going to read the lines just off frame. That's my take on the character. That's what the character would do.
Reading lines in a costume.
Because Dracula has no emotions, so you won't see me emote.
Yeah.
Dracula's cold-blooded killer. He would never show any form of facial reaction, so I won't.
Even for like when his voice is being used over something else, you can tell that he's just reading the lines. He's reading the lines as they are written. This is basically he's trying to just rush out the lines because he's got to get somewhere and do something.
Yeah,
he's got to go to his next paycheck. Yeah, fantastic stuff. Not for acting, but in terms of negotiating.
Yeah,
that
genius.
However, that doesn't make this movie bearable to watch.
No, but I guess I was kind of in a trance watching his trance. You know, I was like, what is going on here? And then I was like, okay, that was really fucking weird. Is he going to do that in the next scene? Yeah. And the next scene, the answer is yes, he is.
Yes.
He's going to do that consistently throughout the entire film. And he is primarily constrained to be on his one set, which is his castle throne room, where he is basically for 99% of it, except that flashback. You know, so he's kind of just in this main place the whole time, 2 days work, don't know your lines, don't emote or do any actual acting because that's your take on the character. Fuck Uwe Boll and go home.
Yeah, you don't have to fuck Uwe Boll, though. That's just a choice he made.
Yeah.
That's how you become a sir.
Yeah. And so certainly not some Oscar-winning actor. Like, if anything, we could probably say, or I think we could say, that there is one Oscar winner in this movie.
Is it not him?
That is him.
Okay, yeah.
And the Oscar winner in this movie does the worst acting in this movie of all the actors.
Yeah.
And that's saying something because Meatloaf's in this.
Yes, yeah.
Like there's people doing bad acting in this.
Yeah.
So for him, the Oscar winner, the creme de la creme to kind of eclipse everyone else's bad acting with his bad acting take is actually something to behold.
It's impressive. I love hearing a story like that where someone just takes an idiot for a ride.
And look, we are projecting, but it does seem very likely. I feel like we've really, this is a hot take, but it's a genius hot take.
I don't even think it's a hot take. I think it's pretty obvious watching it. Like, it's just, of course. Why wouldn't he do what he's done?
And I guess if we were to care enough, we should have done some research, like Ben Kingsley on his performance in Bloodrayne. I
do have a quote from Ben Kingsley about his performance in Bloodrayne.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, stay tuned.
Because there was obviously that brilliant one that you played of Bob Hoskins on the Super Mario.
Similar,
I did fucking King Lear or whatever. Oh, fuck's sake. I was King Lear or whatever it was.
Not quite as cutting.
Yeah.
Or maybe more along the lines of... I was going to say Alfred Hayes. Michael Caine. Yeah, he played Alfred. That's how I got that.
So I also will say this like we've talked about Ben Kingsley, but this is a cast of like good actors.
An ensemble.
Yeah. Like he's really, probably broken the bank on the actors that he's chosen.
Absolutely, yeah.
We've got Michelle Rodriguez. We've got Michael Marsden.
Marsden. Quentin Tarantino's mate.
Yeah, the guy that's Mr. Brown or whatever.
He looks like a dude who'd play a
He's
cop.
in Reservoir Dogs. He's in Kill Bill. He's a good actor. He does the same thing that Ben Kingsley does, though, where he's just in every single movie because he's just making a living as an actor.
Yeah.
He doesn't pick and choose his spots, so to speak.
There's Billy Zane.
And there's Billy Zane, of course.
And the headliner.
The Cad from Titanic. The Phantom.
The headliner. Will Sanderson.
Will Sanderson, yes.
Yeah, from House of the Dead fame. and other Uwe movies.
Yeah. And then the lead character is Kristana Loken.
I believe.
Who, most famously, for anyone, you probably wouldn't know that name just off the top of your head. But
we barely do.
Yeah, but she was the new Terminator in Terminator 3.
That's where I don't recognize her from.
Yeah, and that's certainly her most highest profile role. It was one of her very first roles, at least in American speaking movies. And it was sort of like, who's this new hot young person on the, what will she do from here,
Yeah.
She's playing the Terminator. She's opposite Arnie, this is what she did. so we know that's where that went. But
careers have peaks and troughs.
Yeah. But I did make a note that this almost seems like this ensemble cast could almost be the ensemble cast for Fast and the Furious 15. A few, like when Vin Diesel's left again, and there's just, that maybe Statham will come back.
Yeah.
And then it's this group.
Well, both Statham will be back in another ensemble cast for an Uwe Boll movie.
That's right.
So we'll save that for a rainy day, that one. Or unless it comes up on the wheel. I do, just in terms of chronological events that happen in the movie.
Yep.
4 minutes in, we have an ad for a traveling carnival within the movie, right? Both the words traveling and carnival are spelt incorrectly.
Good.
And I thought,
that's
fantastic
great
stuff. That's what I want to see.
This
movie is apparently based in Romania.
Yep.
The accents aren't. They're based in America, in England, and then maybe back to America depending on who the actor or actress is, just all over the place in terms of their cadence or just
no consistency.
none. And it was fantastic. And then equally, about 30 seconds after the traveling carnival, you've got the man himself, Uwe Boll, on screen wearing a modern day wristwatch in 1930s Romania. Time traveler. And he makes an appearance in the third one as well as a very important character, let's say. We'll save that for then, though.
Yeah, so I guess that this is where we meet Rain, is at this carnival.
Yes.
She's a circus freak.
Yes.
Because she can heal quickly. Is that what it was?
Yeah, so they have holy water, they splash it on her, she burns.
And then she gets...
But then they feed her some blood and that heals her.
And she's okay again.
Yeah, that's the consequences, or I guess the abilities of someone who's a dampire, dampire. I've heard so many different ones. In this movie, it sounds like they're saying dampfear with like an F.
Yeah.
And I've heard that pronunciation. I literally had to try and look up how's it pronounced, and I got 3 different results. So I'm going to go with the pronunciation in the movie, which may be wrong. Dampfear.
Yep.
Which doesn't sound very scary.
Yeah, so she's chilling in this carnival.
Mm-hmm.
She escapes.
So the traveling carnival.
She escapes, leaving, and also we should say, and this is, I guess, another curious choice. She escapes, murdering a bunch of people in her wake.
One of them's a potential rapist.
One of them is a potential
So
rapist.
I'll give her a win for that.
But another one is like a friend to her that was like kind to her.
Oh yes, she goes in a rage and she kind of blindingly she just gets a fright and then kills it.
Yeah, she just kills that person.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, look, introduce a character, make her sympathetic, then make her murder innocent people.
We all have our flaws. Who hasn't done that? Honestly.
And so she escapes this carnival, and then, she's on a mission to
kill Kagan.
Her
father, the one who killed her mother. Not just killed, also another rapist in this film.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
That's the kind of caricature villainy you can expect.
Yeah. And so I guess from that point, that's what she's doing. That's her mission. She's just searching.
Sure. I don't really care for the plot for this.
She's really just going from place to place to place.
Yeah, it's an and then movie. As we talked about with one of the other ones, this happens. Oh, and then they're over here. And then they're over here.
But she meets up with Michelle Rodriguez.
Some vampire hunters. It's Michelle Rodriguez, Michael Madsen, and some guy who was in other stuff probably.
Yeah.
That's how much. Was it Sebastian?
Yeah. Yep.
Great.
Sebastian.
Yep.
Because who she has a romantic entanglement with, isn't it?
At some point she does. Yeah, we'll get into that.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely light on plot.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's kind of these weird things, like she gets this eye, and absorbs it.
That's the MacGuffin of this movie, is this eye, which
that was held by some monks.
It was held in a video game level, where she had to first have a boss battle against some deformed guy who, because he looks a bit funny, would have a lot of HP.
Yeah.
In a video game, that looks like a guy you'd have to hit him a few more times than you would a regular enemy.
Yeah.
So she beats him, and she goes into a room full of traps.
Yeah,
Some CGI blade traps.
Yeah,
blades as in like the object,
right.
not the movie.
So she's in this thing, and then she does a bunch of cartwheels and flips past the traps.
Got every female protagonist in an action movie has to be an acrobat.
And flip past traps.
Yeah.
And so she flips past these traps and gets to the eye.
The eye, yes.
Then she picks up the eye.
Mm-hmm.
And this was one of the what the fuck moments for me, which was she picks up the eye, and then she steps back.
Yes.
So, well, first then I think blood starts coming.
No, it's just water.
Oh, it's just water.
Remember, vampire burned by water.
Yeah. So water starts coming down, and she's going to get drowned by water. But regardless of the water, she's cartwheeled through all these traps.
Mm-hmm.
And then she takes a step backwards to where all the traps are. And there's absolutely no indication that the traps are turned off.
Yeah, but she knows.
How does she like this? Is the
no, but she knows.
That's my thing. Is like you would feel like you couldn't go backwards because there's all those traps. You'd have to backflip your way back.
See, I had that thought, And then I immediately got rid of that thought because I just went, fuck it.
Like, that's the thing. If she'd, like, hit a button that stopped all the traps,
Yeah.
or a secret dial or something.
Would you have wanted to see her go back doing some flips and stuff?
No, I just wanted her to, like, have some sense of, like, I can't step back this way because of all the traps
So
that are activated when I step there.
Let's rewrite the scene.
Yeah.
Again, we've done that before, we'll do it now. So
Yeah.
the blades just keep going.
Yeah.
Even when she's gotten to the eye, she
Yeah.
gets the eye and then they stop.
Yeah.
Then she knows they've stopped.
Yeah.
And then she can step back.
Yeah.
Is that what you'd want?
Yeah.
Great.
Anything.
Okay.
Just anything than what was. It's just like, and then so she's got this eye. The thing starts filling up with water.
Mm-hmm. But the eye then kind of it becomes her eye.
The eye, she absorbs the eye into her eye.
Yes, so it develops heterochromia. So her eyes are different colors now from each other.
Yeah. And the water goes down.
Yeah, it stops.
Because she's absorbed the eye.
Yeah, of course.
So the booby trap's designed to stop anyone from stealing the eye.
Unless you get the eye. Then you win.
Then you win.
She won the video game level. And then she moves on to the next one.
Just stop.
Yeah. Congratulations. You're princess in another castle. However, sorry just to bring it back, but you say that she escaped the carnival. This is Rain.
Yep.
She escaped the carnival and she killed a bunch of people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of blood in this film and none of it's earned. You just see her kind of lazily slash near someone and then there's a close-up of big gushing blood coming out of a stationary body going like, yeah, this is the bit where the blood comes. And like that happens with almost every single thing. There's basically no action.
Yeah.
But there's so much blood just so they can be like, yeah, R-rated, cool, violent, sexy. That's what they wanted. Just all those like the big things that are going to bring in like the edgy teens.
That's
you want to see
right.
blood and you want to see tits.
Well, yeah, and they have this quite extended fight in this courtyard with all this blood exploding and like really like kind of like it's so strange because I mean this is probably one of Uwe Boll's like big problems is that he just doesn't get tone. Like, is it meant to be funny that like blood is erupting from these people, or is it meant to be, you know, psychologically disturbing?
Yeah.
And then like one might look quite gruesome and brutal while another one might look completely comedic and ridiculous. And they're literally put back to back.
And you're not sure what's intentional.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Like, you know, there's a shot where like one guy kind of goes, and like blood sprays and then he slides off. His torso just slides off.
Yeah. So it goes
insane.
Yeah, it'll go like, oh, when this person gets cut in half, that's cool. When this person gets cut in half, oh, that's gory. And actually, oh, can you feel that? Look at the darkness and the depravity of war. Yeah. And then look at this one. Oh, look at that guy. Look at that guy. Bloody
slipping off his torso.
What an idiot. all in a row. Just completely mismatched in what the intention is and what the result is.
Yeah. There's a lot of characters in this film, you know, some of whom we talked about. A lot of them don't have like any particular like purpose for existing.
Okay, so you now want to talk about Meatloaf.
Well, I guess we should talk about Meatloaf.
Yes.
Because Meatloaf, RIP, died recently of COVID because he refused to get vaccinated. We don't know if he would have died or not had he been vaccinated, but he said specifically he won't do vax.
Well, we can definitely say that a meatloaf a day does not keep the doctor away.
But, you know, obviously a iconic rock star. Very, very famous. I mean...
He's done a lot of acting. He's been in like 50
movies. He was a Big Tits Bob and Fight Club.
What a legacy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, if you look on YouTube, this entire movie is on YouTube for the purpose of someone archiving things that Meatloaf has been in. So they went, you know what? He's in that for a bit. Let's upload the whole movie, and the only comment on the video is the timestamp to where he's on it.
It was just so weird because again, this whole Meatloaf. So Meatloaf is with like a harem of women, like he's having an orgy with all these women, right? And he's just there, kind of acting weird and like really bad acting, terrible acting, like almost matching Sir Ben Kingsley, but not because at least he is acting.
He's trying
doing
something.
something.
He's trying something.
And Ben Kingsley just refused to act at all. He was just reading the script off camera.
Yeah.
So you have to give him some degree of credit, but it's not good. And it's just like, and then he basically says like, leave Rain with me. I'm creepy and she will become part of this group of women.
Yeah. And they are just doing like porn sounds and giggling the whole time.
Yeah.
Like just
Yeah.
the whole, even when he's not there.
Yeah.
And they're just, you can just see them sitting in the background.
And it's just so strange because it's like, why is Meatloaf here? Why is he doing this weird performance? Why did they decide to include this section in the film?
I can tell you.
And but like again, classic Uwe Boll, none of this shit makes sense.
Yeah.
No reason to do this, but why is he in this film?
Titillation. To bring back something you brought up in an earlier episode.
Right.
You know, we come to the movies to get titillated.
Yeah, and that's Meatloaf.
That, you know, you see a bunch of titties.
Yeah.
Some of them belonging to women and one pair
like
belonging to Meatloaf.
Yeah.
And you get titillated.
Big Tits Bob.
Assumedly.
Yeah.
You know.
What's his name in this?
Leonard?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Leonard.
I don't know if that's someone from the games. No idea.
Anyway, how did Uwe Boll get this score of Meatloaf? You just paid him?
It was actually Kristana Loken's idea to cast him.
So she was just like, you know what would be good in this film? Meatloaf.
Yeah.
And Uwe Boll was like, you know what, Kristana? You're right. Let's get Meatloaf.
Maybe she was making suggestions for catering. It'll be great.
Meatloaf. He took that the wrong way.
That's what I feel like. You know, his English is a bit broken.
Yeah, Meatloaf would be great. Oh, he's in the film now. Oh, shit.
You know what this harem of women need? Meatloaf. So they threw some at them.
Yeah. Meatloaf, any commentary on this fucking film?
No, paycheck and leave.
Yeah. So anyway.
He probably just enjoyed the scenes.
Oh, look, and you get it, right? Basically, he's there with a bunch of women with their tits out.
Yeah.
Like, beautiful women with their tits out. And he's like canoodling with them.
He is canoodling.
And so I think that clearly, you know, would you like to canoodle with a group of beautiful women with their tits out and get paid like $25,000?
He just goes, yes, how much? And he goes, 25,000. Oh, but Steve, no, I'm paying you. Oh, okay, yeah.
But it is weird, and you know, I was sort of like, yeah. It was really weird. But anyway, also because it just slows up the plot.
But he did message me saying, still got a semi. So just a bit of background for everyone.
They kill. Well, no, my semi comes later, actually.
I wouldn't have thought that would be a semi. That would be a full 18-wheeler.
Full on. So, yeah, anyway, he gets killed like almost immediately.
Yeah, he's in it, he gets introduced, and then he gets killed.
Yeah.
Because of it was so funny. Michael Madsen's character has this tiny little wrist crossbow. Yeah. And he uses it multiple times. It looks so funny because he's like, big man with a sword and
got a little pop-out wrist.
So just quickly on Michael Madsen. Yeah. He's the guy who just tells the audience what's going on, and he just has this knowledge. Just go, oh, well, we got to go here now because this has got to happen. And then when we get there, we've got to go and talk to this guy about this thing. And they're just like, okay.
Yeah.
And he just says his lines.
I know someone that might be able to help. This is what Kagan wants. To lure back what's left of Brimstone to him so he can destroy us once and for all. This is what I've decided to do.
He seems wearied by the dialogue that he must recite.
He's exhausted.
He's a world-weary dialogue reciter, expositional guy. That's what he does.
My character would be weary because of all
I feel like I'd be weary.
I
feel like I'd be weary. I'd sound weary and frustrated in every line. Okay, sounds good, Michael.
Yeah,
whatever you want.
And again, we'll get his comments on what it was like to be in this movie.
When Rain is kidnapped and taken, I think to Meatloaf.
Yeah.
She basically at the end of one of these fight scenes, and I could be muddling things up because it's all just a blur of.
It's pretty forgettable in terms of the plot. Yeah.
But basically, what happens is someone just like kind of a fist comes into frame and punches her out, like just knocks her out, right? But this is the insane part. So she's knocked out. Like now, you could be knocked out for a little while, sure.
Oh,
but
you're talking
she's
about
knocked out and she's put on horseback
yeah,
over a guy's shoulder or over the horse
yes,
and ridden for like 2 days to
Yeah.
a frickin'
movie
castle.
It's movie unconscious, right? You're unconscious for as long as
You need to get
be,
to the next destination.
Yeah.
Which was a 2-day horseback ride
Yeah.
to some fucking castle.
Yep.
This is fucking so stupid.
Really, you reckon it's stupid?
I was just like, come on, could they have not like shown her being tied up and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
slung over the horse?
Yeah.
Nah, she's just knocked out for that period of time.
Yeah, you're putting more thought into it than they did.
I was just like, wait, I had to rewind it. I was like, wait, like, has it like a little day passed here?
Mhm.
Yeah, she's still knocked out.
Yeah.
On horseback, traveling.
Another thing that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
This could be a segue into literally anything I mentioned.
Of course.
Billy Zane is in this movie for 2 unimportant scenes that
Yep.
barely add anything to the plot.
Yep.
The first one is him dictating a letter to his daughter using someone. And it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
In the way that it seems like he's kind of not learned his lines properly and he's incorporated that into the character. He's going, oh, how was that? Do you reckon that was good? Yeah, right. He kind of does it in the way that like a high positioned executive
Yeah.
or like, you know, a chairman or something would dictate something to their personal assistant and they just go,
Yeah.
yeah, say this. No, scratch that. Now do this. Okay, now go with that. And then how do I convert that to a PDF? Can you show me? All right, cool. All right, I'm docking your pay. So so he has that kind of energy to him, but he's
Yeah.
a bit more positive and
Yeah.
lighthearted than that. Then in his second scene, he's being intimidated in quotation marks by Will Sanderson, who is one of the least intimidating people.
Especially with this haircut.
This 1930s
It's
accurate
horrific.
Romanian haircut. You can see it if you're watching it on the video on Spotify or YouTube. But he looks like a fan of Chuck Liddell,
Yep.
who doesn't go to the gym.
Yeah.
And also, this might sound real bad, but it's hard to look tough with a lazy eye, which is why I think he's looking for the MacGuffin, because it's an eye that might look straight. And he just comes across as looking quite silly and unserious and everything.
Yeah.
But in this scene, he's trying to really like, you know,
Yeah.
if you don't do what we say, we're going to take care of you. And even the character is kind of like, yeah, whatever.
Well, just what was weird to me about this, because this is Billy Zane's second scene here.
Yes.
The first thing that happens is someone throws a beheaded head,
Yes, so Will Sanderson's character
throws a beheaded head
with a wig as bad as Billy Zane's.
at Billy Zane,
Yes.
who's also wearing a very similar wig
Yeah.
to the beheaded head. We don't really see the face of the beheaded head. But what's strange, and again, it's this whole film of just never really anything making sense, is like, I'm sorry, I don't care who you are.
Mhm.
Someone throws you a head, a beheaded head,
Yeah.
you're going to get grossed out. You're going to be freaked out.
Well, Michelle Rodriguez does kind of clarify earlier that, you know, he was a really strong warrior who doesn't, you know, battle anymore.
Yeah, but
And he's a
still.
vampire now, so I don't know, is he like 400 years old? But then she's his daughter, who none of it really makes sense. And
I just feel like you'd just be like, oh, gross.
yeah, but then he's
Don't
instead,
throw a head at me.
but then instead he's like, oh, you come in here throwing things?
He's like,
Come
I'm a little bit tired of you throwing things at me.
on." Yeah,
Yeah.
classic Romanian accent of Billy Zane.
Yeah. So anyway, I was just like, God, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like, and also, if he's going to no-sell the head throwing,
Mhm.
then why throw the head?
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah.
Throw the head if he's going to be disgusted and shocked and I'm going to take you seriously now.
Yeah.
Or just don't throw the head.
And so the confusing part of the tone of all of this is so like me as an audience member isn't taking Will Sanderson's intimidation tactics seriously,
Yeah.
and neither is the character on screen of Billy Zane's character. However, what Will Sanderson's character is threatening ends up actually transpiring, but we never know that until it happens because Billy Zane doesn't have any more scenes. He's basically saying, hey, it's my way or the highway. Give up this the stronghold of vampires called Brimstone, which they're trying to defend. And he's like, "No, I don't actually care what you're saying or what you're doing. Just fuck off, leave me alone." But then in the next scene, Brimstone has been given up, so he must have done it? Weird. Doesn't make any sense. In this plot that's already nonsensical and kind of boring to follow, there's one that, like, this
Yeah.
bit just contradicts itself immediately.
Yep.
And then we are shown Michelle Rodriguez as, hey, I've betrayed you guys. I was a bad guy, foreshadowed by me eating an apple. That's how you do it. If you want to show someone's a bit evil, you show them eating an apple.
I never
'cause
really
that's
got
got you.
that. I
Yeah.
never really got her becoming a baddie.
Well, she was on her way out the door. She still had a pink jacket on.
Yeah.
Did you notice that? She was just wearing what just looked like, it's just a pink jacket.
Didn't catch that.
Didn't fit in at all.
Yeah.
It was really weird.
Yeah.
But she's just like, all right, mum. Oh, I've got to do another scene? Okay, may as well. All right, yeah, you're betrayed. Here's a really badly choreographed thing of me killing somebody. All right, I'm on my way. All right, cool. Thank you. Thanks for the paycheck. I'm out.
Also, the way that she gets killed as well.
Yeah. Cool. I honestly forgot that it happened
Yeah.
until you just brought it
Yeah,
up.
no,
She's immune to water now, by the way, because of the eye.
But I was like, hey, I thought they were friends. I never really. I was,
Well, because she turned bad.
I was like, they've been through a lot together. This is a bit much for me.
They just went, we need another villain. We already have Meatloaf and maybe Billy Zane. Is he
Yeah.
a villain? We don't know. He's not there long enough to establish it. They've also got Will Sanderson. They've also got Ben Kingsley. So they needed another villain. They didn't have enough.
This film,
Mhm.
to me, I was like, you know what? This is the best made Uwe Boll film so far.
You mean like production-wise?
Yeah, like in terms of like, and obviously it's, I think, the biggest budget so far too.
Yeah, I think it was like $25 million
Yeah,
or something.
which if you can't make something look good with $25 million, well, you shouldn't be making films.
He definitely made some things look good.
And
Passable.
it's just weird because it's like essentially what Uwe Boll's whole career is to me.
Mhm.
Is we're watching Uwe Boll's film school. We're watching him go to film school with big budget movie adaptations. And each one does, at least technically speaking, even maybe from an editing point of view and stuff, get marginally better
Mhm.
as it goes.
We'll see.
Yeah, well,
this
that's
is-
true. That's true.
Yeah.
But, you know, it seems slightly more competent.
Mhm.
And this one seems slightly more competent than the last.
Yeah.
But he's improving as a filmmaker. And basically, his film school has been the shattered dreams of video game adaptation enthusiasts everywhere.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's Uwe Boll's whole career.
He was the anchor keeping down the expectations of video game movies.
Yeah, he kept consistently pumping out shit. And here's the other thing. I was watching this, and I couldn't do it in one sitting. It was impossible for me.
It took me 3, but that
Yeah.
wasn't because of the quality. It was more just my time management.
Right. Oh, well, for me, I was like, I just have to have a rest here.
Yeah.
I have to have a rest. I'm sorry. This is too bad. I need
I feel
a
for
rest.
Michael Madsen.
Yeah.
Him being exhausted is exhausting
Yeah,
me.
exactly.
I need to sit down. It's my nap time.
And I was so upset by this film that I actually, for one of those breaks, I was like, nah, this doesn't fucking make any sense. This can't exist in the world. This cannot exist. You can't go bad movie, terribly shit film, another terribly shit film with bigger budgets than the other two shit films. None of this works.
Yeah.
This is like the backwards, this is like you make a bad film, you don't make any more.
Yeah.
You make 2 bad films, you definitely don't make a third. The budgets don't get bigger, you don't get better actors.
Yeah.
None of this is working.
Yeah.
Right? And I literally had to stop and I was like, went into like a deep dive of like Googling how Uwe Boll kept making films.
He can't keep getting away with this.
How was he doing it? And because we talked a little bit about it in the other thing with the tax haven thing, the tax break thing. If you shoot a certain amount in or if it's a German production,
Yeah.
you get a certain amount back. This is all like for example, in New Zealand, if an overseas production comes over here, they get given 20% of the budget back. Which is good.
Mm-hmm.
But now many places are doing more. It's like 30% in Ireland now and stuff like that. We actually have to kind of catch back up and people go, well, why are we giving people this money? Well, because it brings in all this jobs, much more than that 30% of whatever that is.
Yeah.
And that's called the Screen Production Grant. And obviously that existed back then in Germany as well.
I think it was a little bit different in terms of what you could write off the profits minus the
Yeah, and
the tax
that's
and all of that,
definitely a
like-
difference. And in fact, you know, I've heard of some places that essentially, had at one point 100% write-off schemes.
I think that was pretty much what this was. He was the only one, or at least the biggest one, to kind of take advantage of that system. Publicly say that he's taking advantage of that system, so much so that they changed it.
They changed the system.
He got away with it for so long until a certain point, and then he started having to use his own money.
Yeah.
Basically, he never had to use any of his own money
Right.
until they basically sewed shut that loophole. And then he tried again, but, maybe I'll just make a bit less from it, but I can still do it.
Yeah.
I've got my name value, and I can say, hey, I've profited this much of these movies. They might not be critical successes or seemingly financial successes, but you have to take into account DVD sales and
territory. And that's the other reason. Obviously, you cast a Ben Kingsley and a Michael Marsden and whoever else, is these people do have a cachet for foreign distribution sales.
Yes.
Therefore you can go to a certain territory and go, this person is going to give me $1 million for the rights here in Korea.
Yeah.
And this person is giving me $250,000. And that was, in fact, how many budgets did get made up when there was DVDs. Obviously, the value of those territory sales now are much less.
Yes.
I also think that there's this other thing potentially going on where, what us poors don't realize is that the rich people live in a whole different world.
Oh, yeah.
Completely different. Even like the way they pay tax is different, or the way they don't pay tax is different.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea is that once you're making a certain amount of money, or your business is making a certain amount of money, you kind of have two choices, which is to pay tax to the government or to create expenses for your business and don't pay the government.
Yes.
The money must be spent either way. Either it's given to the government or it's spent investing in the business, whatever.
Laundered.
Yeah. But it cannot, it has to be given away no matter what.
Yeah.
And so I do have to hypothesize that, part of these budgets were being made up of essentially either through him or through people he knew, kind of going, well, look, I've got to give, or I would have to give $500,000 to the tax man. Instead, I'm going to give it to your film because maybe I will make money back off that later, but that doesn't matter right now because this just has to be out by the end of the tax year.
Yes.
It's still.
Do you think this movie was made in a rush?
It's hard to know with his movies.
No, it's not. They're all made in a rush.
Yeah,
they're all made in a rush.
But that's the thing is so I never truly got a straight answer of all these different reasons of how it could continue, except that if Uwe Boll is one of the worst filmmakers in the world, he is one of the best businessmen in the world.
Yes.
And he may well be.
As good of a businessman and as poor of a director as Ben Kingsley is as good of a negotiator and as bad as an actor in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That business acumen, I feel like, has been the only thing. He's approached it how am I going to get rid of tax or other people's tax money to make these movies? And also almost the idea, I suppose, this weird idea is most movies are designed to make money. That's the whole point.
Yes.
Except for if you were never looking at it that way.
Some are there are some movies where it's hypothesized that they have been made to lose money to pour those expenses into. Not just what you're saying, putting some components of the movie to have some pretend expenses that you can put your money in. An entire movie to do that with.
Yes.
So you don't have to pay as much tax on your total gross from a different movie.
And so I feel like all of these have combined to give him an illustrious 25-year career, or however fucking long it's been. Not quite that, but
he has promised that he'll be back pretty recently. I think it was in February of 2023 where he said, I will be making another movie. When he's supposedly retired from filmmaking because
everyone hates him.
And he hates everybody.
He also hates everyone, but everyone...
Classic defense mechanism.
Well, everyone is, please don't make more films. If we could ask one thing of you.
He has made good, critically acclaimed films, but none of them are video game movies. None of them are action movies.
And they don't exist in, they're foreign films, essentially.
They are, yes.
And
so we will never see them. We will never give him his due. We will not give him the credit.
Can't. No. I also feel that, it was almost, you have to assume that with that original German tax break, whatever it was, was built off of the cachet of, hey, we know Uwe Boll. He's made these good German films.
Yeah.
Now because this is what all countries want to do. We want to support him to making films, internationally.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that didn't go quite as they hoped.
Not quite, no.
But anyway, I literally had to pause this movie and try and look this up and try and figure it out because it was just pissing me off so much how bad this film was.
When he's got a budget that is more money than you'll ever see.
Exactly.
To make a movie that's probably one of the worst you've ever seen.
Exactly.
Fucking fascinating, honestly.
It is. It is fascinating.
I love that kind of stuff. Just like, wow, this exists for that reason?
And
amazing.
Look, I would love to literally sit down with them and go, okay, just please, just break this down for me. How did you get this? How did you acquire this budget?
Mm-hmm.
How did you put it all together?
Mm-hmm.
How did you package it? How did you pitch it?
You know what he'd tell you? Lies.
Probably, yes.
He'd tell you it's because he's a genius and he's a great filmmaker.
Unfortunately. He wouldn't give us straight. But like, that's the thing is like, you would never in a million years pay for Uwe Boll's film school. But Uwe Boll's business school? Fucking hell. Well, be sure all over that.
Although his tricks seem to have
dried up.
Expired, basically. Because of the changes in laws and all of that, and people kind of seeing through it and him being very public about how he's done it. Like, maybe we won't really give you that opportunity again. So earlier we were talking about trucks. We talked about your semi.
Yep.
What about your 18-wheeler? How did that come to be?
Well, look, the highlight of this film, for me...
For you.
Had absolutely... It's nothing to do with plot. It's nothing to do with character. It's nothing to do with action. It's a sex scene.
And I'll kind of just lead you through how that comes to be. So,
it's a pretty weird series of events.
So Rain is, I guess, telling the story to Sebastian about, hey, I'm going to kill Kagan because he raped and killed my mum. And he goes, what? Oh, you think you've got it bad? Here's my backstory. And it's also sad because of my dead parents. Anyway, I got you some clothes. Hope you like them. Goodbye. She goes down for a nap. Ben Kingsley, I don't, it's weird. It seems implied that he kind of possesses her.
Yeah.
So he possesses his own daughter, and then she just kind of leaves her, what looks like a prison cell, and then goes like, oh, hey, Sebastian.
What's
all of
up?
this with her eyes. She goes, hey, like, you want to fuck now? And then they fuck now. Is Ben Kingsley, her dad, still like possessing her? And then that's it. It just happens. And then it's just, the morning, nothing else.
Hey, it was pretty crazy. Remember last night?
He goes, no, don't you fucking talk about it. And also, those new clothes that she has, she's dressed in the same thing. And he even says, hey, how are those new clothes? She's like, yeah, great. Did they just make it, like, I think... Like, I briefly went back and went forward.
Trying to figure out which clothes.
I think it's like the armband thing she's got on. That's it? Yeah, the gauntlets there. I think that's it. It was just gauntlets. Yeah, like, she's not in a... They look exactly the same.
How'd you like those gauntlets? How'd you like that sex? That possessed sex from my dad.
How'd you like when my dad fucked you using me as an avatar?
It's a conduit.
Yeah. What the fuck, Uwe? Jesus Christ.
But she looks hot. And that's what it's... I mean, look, you could say that's what it's all about at the end of the day in terms of this whole film, is a couple of good-looking women looking hot. That's why she was hired to play this role.
Yeah, and also it's not a sex scene that really shies away from anything either.
You see some boobies.
He sees some boobies, and he licks her tit or whatever.
Like, licked her tit or whatever.
Good stuff. Good times. Good times.
Was this one necessary, Guy?
It was necessary for... It was absolutely necessary in terms of, like, your audience being so disappointed and so angry for so much of this film that you just go, well, look, here's a beautiful naked body to look at. Does that make your life better for having been subjected to this horror show? And you go, oh, well, I suppose it's something.
I think they should have put it at the
In
beginning.
a weary Michael Marsden voice. Well, something.
Yeah, and then they had sex and I had a wank and then the movie ended.
Or something.
I had a wank and I went to sleep and I missed the end.
So yeah, that. Yeah.
So I've put it down as most gratuitous and random sex scene I've ever witnessed. Literally no reason. And they never established what the new clothing is. I think it's her gauntlets.
Yeah. But yes, probably if you were to, if I would say to skip to any scene in this film, it would probably be that one. So yeah, that was good. But
Yeah, that was good.
yeah, it was good.
That was good. Horndog.
Come on, it was good. Look, Kristana Loken is fucking hot.
Looking good.
She is. She's fucking hot. Can't deny it. Her acting, not so good.
There is a really funny bit where they try to make it a little joke thing. A boy comes up, he's like, "Hey, can I see your fangs?" And she goes like, "Ah!" Fucking distorts her face in a way that it looks like they've done something. They haven't though. She just really made that face. It's great stuff. A splicey that.
Yeah, chuck that in.
So just to really quickly go through the plot.
Yeah.
So Rain gets to her dad, gets kidnapped to Ben Kingsley, and then Michael Madsen and Sebastian kind of come through and bust everything that's happening so they can have a big old fight scene where literally everyone gets stabbed, including Rain, but she manages to heal. And then she sits atop the throne to herself. And there's a weird bit where Ben Kingsley is kind of, monologuing woodenly to Rain.
I kind of want to play one of those bits.
I want to play the bit where he blatantly gets cut off by the editing.
I should thank you now the brimstone is eradicated and you have so kindly handed me the heart. I would never have believed it would have been so easy.
It's fantastic. I had to rewind and go, was he finished talking? No, they've just cut him off there. But it's time for your favorite segment.
Yeah.
Worst hair.
Worst hair.
What the fuck is going on with that wig?
Ben Kingsley's.
Ben Kingsley's this time. And Michael Madsen.
Yeah.
Or Masden. Or, as we mentioned earlier, Billy Zane.
Yep.
And Will Sanderson. Who takes the cake?
Well, I actually now kind of am backtracking now. I thought it was Billy Zane's wig.
Yep.
But actually, for consistently destroying a character's look and credibility in one fell swoop,
yep,
I feel like it has to be Will Sanderson's.
Really?
Yes, because it's so silly. Anytime you look at it, you're not even looking at his acting.
Yeah.
You're looking at like the triangle that's been cut.
And there is some like markings and things shaved into the back as well. It looks silly from every angle.
Yeah.
However, Ben Kingsley's one, it isn't even glued down properly.
Yeah,
you can tell it's a bald guy.
It's hovering.
Yeah.
It's hovering.
You don't see, like, there's no hair.
Yeah.
It's all tucked in. His hair's tucked into his wig.
Yeah.
Or his wig's tucked into itself.
Not good.
It's not good in the slightest. And it's just so front and center. And he's one of the main characters. Like, Will Sanderson, awful. But he does look like a guy who's trying to be tough, but he isn't.
Yeah.
But also, that's not what they're actually going for.
Yeah.
They are going for a tough guy who's tough. But he does just seem like some weedy dude who's like, no.
Yeah. I don't know. I just look at that triangle head and I can't deal with it.
It is pretty shit. All right.
Yeah.
Flip a coin. It's Will Sanderson. He's won that one.
Will Sanderson's one, we've decided. Just a couple of other little side notes that I noticed is that, this constant ye old English dialogue.
But then also dialogue that just kind of sounds like this.
Yeah.
Great.
So if they want to fight...
A fight they will get.
Thank you, Michael Madsen. I remember that being him. I was going to write it down. I was like, nah.
It reminds me of that scene in Lord of the Rings with the orcs where they're like, meat's back on the menu, boys. Like the similar kind of out of place. We've taken something modern and we've transported it to somewhere it doesn't belong.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Like a wristwatch or a pink jacket.
But yeah, that was pretty bad.
Also, best line of the entire movie was Sir Ben Kingsley going, ungrateful bitch.
Ungrateful bitch.
Because again, that's another line. That makes no sense in the context of this movie.
No.
And it's after he's been like sliced in the ribs and then it just cuts to it and he's fine.
Yeah.
He has no thing of, he heals or anything like that. It was just like, nah, didn't hurt. Didn't even cut my clothing.
Yeah.
Made some slicey sounds, but nah, I'm fine.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, like for this film for me was less enjoyable than House of the Dead.
Yeah. I have a feeling that you'll want to change your score for House of the Dead because we've talked off pod and you've warmed up to that now.
I have,
Yeah.
but only, I'm now given context.
Yes, exactly.
Like
what it could be.
Yeah, I was like, look, this is a pile of shit, but it's funny. It's so funny. This is really not very funny.
Not as funny. I found some bits were pretty funny. How clumsy Kristanna Loken is with the signature blades.
Yep.
Like, there's not a single scene where she looks comfortable using those.
No.
And there's some scenes where she's being pretty acrobatic.
Yep.
She even manages to do 2 kip-ups.
Yep.
Which I'm always looking out for.
Looking for a kip up?
Always looking for a kip-up.
Yep.
And this one I got 2, so lucky me.
Happy days.
That's going to affect the score.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, it's like, she's clearly acrobatic, but she's not a fighter.
Yeah.
And they haven't gone out for a choreographer or anything like that. There's a bit of silly stuff. You pointed out at one point to me before we started recording of someone just tackling someone off a horse. It didn't look safe at all.
No, it looked like a stuntman tackled both the horse and the person on the horse. And I was like, is that horse all right?
Is that safe?
That's not good for the horse.
No.
Okay, we're going to get into some trivia and some quotes from these actors.
Absolutely. It's time for everyone's favourite segment. Don't you know? So, the scene with Meatloaf as Leonid, Uwe Boll's gone on record that saying prostitutes are cheaper to hire than actors.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
He's a businessman. Now, Sir Ben Kingsley stated his motivations for wanting to be in this movie were immature. To be honest, I've always wanted to play a vampire with the teeth and the long black cape. That was it.
It's such a terrible, clearly, that's not the reason he did it. He did it for money. And he needed to.
Well, they never say that.
Exactly.
They never say
and he
that.
couldn't say, look, I did it for a fucking paycheck and I had to do 2 days and I was it was really easy for me.
I mean, he even says it's not a very good reason. So I think he's being honest.
I don't
as a secondary reason, not the primary reason.
I just feel like he had to have a reason. Like, why would an Oscar-winning actor be in the worst director in the world's movie without saying money? And he goes, what seems logical? Well, I could say that I always wanted to play a vampire.
It'd be really funny if you look at his filmography and he's got like 17 movies where he was playing
where
a
he's a
Dracula.
vampire, yeah.
Who was one who was really famous for doing that? Christopher Lee. I think he was one who
Yeah, he
played
was
lot
a
of-
vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God. So according to screenwriter Genevieve Turner, so she was a writer on American Psycho. So like she had something behind her.
Great film.
Yeah. So while she was writing the first draft of the script, she received an angry phone call from Uwe Boll. Like, you're late. You fucking lied to me. You told me this was going to come in. And she was like, who the fuck is this? And she told her, she told her agent, never let that man call me ever again. So he demanded she hand in a draft of the script. Like, I need it now. So about a week later, she hands it in because, good things take time, obviously.
Yeah.
So after she sent in the rough first draft of the script, things are all over the place. And then he goes, I love it. We're going into production immediately. She's gone, what the fuck? Like, that was, everything was just kind of scattered and nothing.
She completely rushed it.
Here's some puzzle pieces.
She was trying to meet a deadline.
Yep.
She knew that it would be reworked and, shaped and culled.
That's how movies are made.
Nope.
But then,
I love it.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, I can make money from this.
Which again kind of speaks to that business thing, right? It's like she could have given him anything. What he paid for was a script, and he just needed a script.
Yes.
And he probably was looking at going, is this all filmable for me on my 25 milli budget?
Yeah.
Sure is.
However, later on, she was informed that Boll and the actors had subsequently rewritten much of her script. Some of it on the day, obviously, like while shooting, and the finished movie resembled about 20% of her rough draft. And when she went to the premiere, she was laughing her head off at like what this movie had become. And she was just like, whatever, I got my paycheck.
It's just, I wonder who of the actors was motivated enough to want to contribute to their script.
Did they contribute or did they take away? Did they say, no, I'm only going to stand here and read it woodenly? I think like it probably would have been things like that where they go, no, I want to do the lazy version.
Yeah. Or they're like, look, I know that I have this big monologue here. Look, I'm going to be real. I haven't memorized it. So what if I just say X?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not quite the same, is it?
Rain from Bloodrayne was the first video game character to appear topless in Playboy.
Yeah, boy.
No splicey. No, bad guy. Also, lots of controversy with Billy Zane. So Boll is claiming that he is owed at least $700,000 from Billy Zane because apparently Zane was the one who suggested that Boll distribute the film through Romar Entertainment, the ones who distributed the film. The suit alleges that Zane and Romar promised the film would open in 2,000 theaters and also that a $10 million advance from Boll would be used for advertising and promotions of the film. Boll claims that more than $900,000 of that advance was pocketed by Zane and Romar, and the film only opened in 950 theaters.
Yeah.
So, if that is true, bad Zane. However, Boll was using this at the time that he was promoting his next movie coming up, Postal, at the time, and I think it's in about 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone kind of just saw through it and went, yeah, it's a load of bullshit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that actor with a lot of money owes me a lot of money, actually, because my movie didn't do very well. He's very good at just kind of
passing the buck.
Exactly, yeah. And trying to make some more bucks.
It's an interesting thing because, look, many people do get ripped off by distributors. It's happened to me. And it happens to many filmmakers.
It's never happened to me. I'm too smart for that.
But this is his, third film or whatever.
Third video game film.
Mm-hmm. So you'd have to believe that he was savvy to all those. Plus, he's the master. I'm buying his business course. So, it feels unlikely that he would be kind of conned in that way. But that does happen.
Yeah.
Where essentially what happens is they say, we need this amount of money to market it. And it's not even necessarily your money that you're giving. It's the money of profits from the film.
Yes.
And so essentially they go, so the first profits, the first profits up to X amount are going towards the marketing, which we are spending right now.
Yeah.
And so we need to make that back. So we need to make $10 million before we give you, so on 11 million, on the 11th million, we'll give you $1 million back.
Yeah.
And that is a very common thing where they say that they're doing that. They have not spent any $1 million on anything.
And then they'll again probably make up those expenses to say that they did.
Yes, and exactly. They fudge the books where they're basically like, we did. We spent on that.
We contracted a guy to come up with some ideas of how to do it, and then we spent all the money on just kind of the ideas.
Yeah, there was a very hilariously comical experience that I had with my sales agent where I was like, look, they haven't done any marketing for the film. They've done zero marketing. They've given it to someone else who are marketing it, but that's got nothing to do with them. We've just paid them X amount of dollars for nothing.
Yeah.
And they were like, no. Look, you can see here there's a poster in our office. This proves that we're spending money on marketing. a fucking poster in their offices that was just haphazardly put up on a thing.
Was it in color?
It was in color.
Yeah, okay. Well, I can't.
So there you go. That's where, hundreds
Ink's expensive.
Look, that's, $100,000 it's going to cost that poster. But anyway, that's so, I guess it's feasible. I mean, Billy Zane at this stage of his career is needing money on a consistent basis.
Yeah, he probably didn't get an X% of the profits of Titanic, did he?
No. And the Phantom was not a hit. Remember the Phantom?
No.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, that's interesting. What else you got for us?
I want to talk about the success of this movie.
Okay.
Is there much to talk about? Yes, there is. Because this is an award-winning movie.
Wow.
Winning the following awards at the 2006 Stinkers Bad Movie Awards.
Okay, this sounds more accurate than what I originally thought.
4 awards.
Yep.
Worst Picture.
Yep.
Worst Director.
Yep. Worst
Ensemble. And Least Special Effects. And it also has the distinction of being the last movie to win any of these awards. Because this was the last year that the Stinkers existed.
The Stinkers were... So...
Maybe they were taken over by the Razzies?
Yeah, or the film was so bad,
Stinky.
that featuring it sunk their business of documenting shitty films.
Yeah, because there is those things that go out there and they go, these are the bad things, like the Razzies, the Golden Raspberry Awards, which give out movies for, similar things.
Yeah, well, there's definitely been this recent discussion online, which is like, they shouldn't exist. You shouldn't shit on films.
Like, is this just mean-spirited at this point?
Yeah. Now, having never won a Razzie, I feel like, why not? You got to call out shit when there's shit.
Like, I think it's like there have been certain incidents where it's not so much a fun thing, where they've just gone, she gets worst actor because she was the only woman nominated. Or they get worst supporting actor. Oh, and it just happens to be the only black one in there, or the only person of color, or whatever it is.
But
and I think at that point it does become like, oh, this is just targeted hate,
right? Because I mean, Halle Berry and Catwoman won, and Catwoman won.
Yes.
Now that was justified.
Yeah, so she managed to win an Oscar and a Razzie in the same year.
One of the few people,
and she went in person to physically accept the award for the Razzie.
Good fucking on her.
Because, well, that's the thing is, she knew what she signed up for was shit. I think a lot of these people would be offended that their film or what they were in was, put up for this.
Yeah.
Or they don't care. Like Adam Sandler's Jack and Jill famously was nominated for every single award one year and won all of them.
Deservedly so.
Yeah. But does he give a shit? No, he's counting his money.
You know the funniest thing of the Jack and Jill film? I believe it's this one, because I believe Al Pacino's in that one.
Yeah, I think he is, yes.
The funniest thing in that entire film is like really kind of a half joke, which is that Al Pacino, this iconic, famous actor who has always looked a certain way on film.
Yeah.
There's a scene where he's like in a hoodie and sweatpants.
Yeah.
And it just looks really, really funny because it's so far removed from what you would imagine.
Yeah.
Like you're like, no, Pacino can't wear this.
Yeah.
He's never ever worn this. He can't wear this and this.
Yeah.
And somehow that is really trading on a kind of a 30-year history of iconic characters in films.
And is that a joke within the film, or is it just something you found funny?
Well, it's just something I found funny.
Yeah, well, there you go. See, unintentional comedy is, I think, funnier than a lot of intended comedy. So, as I mentioned, the Razzies. The Razzies actually started 4 years after the
I see. The Stinkers were retired.
So, they also had an award for worst on-screen hairstyle.
Right.
Which, one, is a stupid thing to award anyone.
Sure.
And two, didn't include any badaptation, so it's completely invalid.
Yeah. Weird.
Unfortunately, 2006 was the last annual Stinkers Bad Movie Awards, which had begun in 1978. Rest in stink, we've just heard of you. But again, how successful was this movie? It's an Uwe Bollocks movie. So I can't help. It says Uwe Boll, and I've said Uwe Bollocks. Apologies. It was unsuccessful commercially, financially, critically, except for probably Uwe Boll himself.
In every possible metric of a normal film to be judged, it was unsuccessful.
Yes. And Michael Madsen called this movie an abomination, a horrifying and preposterous movie, but added that he enjoyed working with director Uwe Boll and would certainly work with him again if asked, likely because he was drunk most of the time.
Yep. Yeah. And likely because he's there for the money, not
he got paid to be drunk and run around with a sword.
Yeah.
You rate this movie a 10. But out of what?
What did I give House of the Dead?
You gave House of the Dead 10 out of 1,000.
Right. Well, I think I have to give this 10 out of 3,000.
10 out of 3,000.
Yeah.
Right. I went and I thought, I'll compare this to a movie that I think I enjoyed about just as much, which was Doom.
Yeah.
Doom I was going to give 10 out of 100. However, it had a kip up, so 99.
Yeah.
This movie had 2 kip ups, so 98.
Ooh, got you with the kip ups.
You just include kip ups and you'll get my rating. Include 100 kip ups. That's really going to affect the score.
Yeah.
All right. So usually we talk about the best and the worst of the movie.
Yeah.
What's the best thing about this movie?
Well, best thing is obviously the sex scene.
Yeah, because why did I even ask? Honestly?
No doubt about that. Like, look, in a film full of lowlights, a tolerable sex scene involving beautiful or one beautiful person,
Ben Kingsley.
to me is sort of like, yeah, I was like, oh, well, okay, cool. So, yep, that's my highlight.
Mine was anytime Michael Madsen was running on screen
Mm.
because he looked uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Equal with anytime Kristana Loken was trying to wield the dual
Wielding her
blades.
blades.
I find that just really funny.
Okay, low light.
Ooh, I think it might be Michelle Rodriguez trying to do an accent.
I have yet to see the point in finding this carnival. It has been completely annihilated.
I would not risk all on folk tales.
So, yeah, look, Michelle Rodriguez's accent was bad, no
She's
doubt.
so out of place in this movie.
It was very, you know, it reminded me of Natalie Portman in The Phantom Menace when she does the princess accent.
Right, yes. Yeah, it is a bit weird.
It's just a bit weird and wrong, and it's like, look, you tried, you gave it a good go, but you just didn't quite hit it.
You know, when I was like, I really enjoyed that movie growing up because it's
Yeah.
the one I grew up with.
Yeah.
That usually tends to be how it works.
Yeah.
You know, if there's 8 of something,
Well, look,
like Star Wars or...
kids don't have any taste and are fucking stupid.
I loved Jar Jar Binks. I thought he was
Of
funny.
course, he's hilarious to you.
That was the point. That's who it was aimed
Yes.
at. Yeah.
And that's the weird thing. We do obviously, we become more cynical, critical, and bitter and full of hatred as we get older. That's just what happens. The world is not a nice place. You're exposed to more of it and you go, oh shit, this ain't good.
Yeah.
But when you're a kid, you just don't know. You don't know any better.
I didn't
You
know...
just what you watch things, you love them.
I didn't know how to send death threats at that point. Star Wars is aimed at children.
Yeah.
So if you have any kind of actual problem that gets you riled up, if that really gets an emotional response of, they ruin these movies.
Yeah.
It is aimed at children. You are a child. All of the Star Wars movies are as good as each other.
Disagree with that, 100%. I'd
Rank-
also say that
The only way you can rank Star Wars movies and it's valid is either in
I
the
do-
order they were released, the order of the numbers, or in alphabetical order. Any other kind of ranking, it's a moot point. They're all as good as each other.
they're not as good as each other.
Argue with me about that.
The Disney ones are worse, and I would actually argue that for kids,
Mhm.
so I think the prequels more successfully appealed to kids,
Mhm.
which is what all Star Wars are meant to do.
Yes.
I think the new Star Wars movies do kind of miss with appealing to kids. Like they don't have enough kind of kid-centric stuff
Yeah.
that actually, if I was a kid, I'd be like, who the fuck's this Palpatine guy? And why is he returned?
Yeah, they're going on the nostalgia of people who were children when they watched it.
you're kind of relying more on adults who also didn't necessarily like it. But you're definitely like, I just feel like for a kid like experience, like to watch it and be filled with joy.
Yeah.
I don't think though the newer Star Wars are successful.
However,
Yeah.
the 40-year-olds that are watching the new Star Wars
Yeah.
are children.
Well,
In essence, because they're big nerds
the
about
big
Star
fucking
Wars
babies.
films. Yeah, they're
They're
big
carrying on
babies.
like big fucking
And-
babies about it.
They yell about the color of a lightsaber, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. So my low light would actually be Ben Kingsley.
Yeah, fair.
Because like it's just so little effort. Like
it's
that's the
less
thing.
than no effort.
Yeah, it's less than no effort, and like that's the deal. It's like, look, I get it. You knew this film was going to be shit, and blah blah blah
No,
blah blah.
I completely understand his
Your
reasoning,
logic is solid,
but it still ruined the film.
and it's still also like, I'm sorry, but you're getting paid to act. You're getting paid to deliver your Oscar level skills.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what the film is. You're still, you have to expect that of yourself, and you clearly did not.
I'm going to fill out a form tonight and put him under performance review.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure he,
So Ben, that's it.
Sir Benjamin. Also, not his real name, his actor's name. But that makes sense because that's probably due to racism.
So that's my low light.
Yeah.
His whole performance throughout this film.
Fair enough. I've got a recommendation, just the one this week. There's not really a lot going for Bloodrayne in terms of content out there. It's just a retrospective review of the Bloodrayne trilogy itself. So basically this, his YouTube channel is called Sandman, and he's played the game so you don't have to.
Yeah.
And he does a little review on that. So, yeah, a bit of fun. There'll be a link for that in the show notes / description.
One other curious aspect of this film.
Sure.
It stars Christina.
Kristana.
Loken.
Mhm.
There's 2 sequels to this film,
Yes.
and she does not star in them.
Does not return.
And what I think is weird about that is that would imply that she's gone on to be in much better things, but she hasn't.
Maybe she intended to and it just didn't work out.
I think that's probably the best explanation,
Mhm.
but it does seem weird that you were kind of like the figurehead of this film. You know, whether or not you're laughed out of the building and every aspect of it, you're still the main person.
Yeah.
And you are now spearheading a franchise. And then she's like, you know what? Nah.
Well, the next one doesn't even get a cinematic release.
Yeah, but
It's
no,
straight to
like,
DVD.
I guess the thing is that like none of the other stuff she's doing is getting a cinematic release.
Yeah, but she doesn't know that before it's
I
happened.
guess that's true.
Yeah.
I guess that when she said no the first time round,
Hmm.
I feel like a Bloodrayne 4 has to now be made with her coming back.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Right, now that we've made all those recommendations, let's spin the wheel and find out what we're doing for the next episode.
Well, look, I'm really gonna pray. I'm gonna pray really hard
For what are you praying
for
for? It not to hit.
another Bloodrayne.
Not for another Bloodrayne, not for another Uwe Boll,
No, I feel like I can tolerate another Uwe Boll.
not for another Resident Evil just yet for me.
Yeah, okay, so here are prayers, Wheel. We don't want Resident Evil or Bloodrayne.
I know you're not listening, Wheel. Just like Uwe Boll doesn't listen to the criticism.
You might be listening. Let's see.
Whose prayers is it listening to, mine or yours? All right, we're going to be doing Tekken, the live action film.
Tekken. So I barely even knew there was a live action Tekken.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm afraid. Because if I barely even knew it, and I did, thrash the fuck out of some Tekken games.
Tekken is my fighting game. Right, but before we have to cover Tekken, if you like what we do, please consider following us using the links in the show notes or description and leave a good review if you want. It means a lot and means our little project can grow. Just love that engagement. What do you think about this movie?
Yeah, and a shout out to loyal listener Kieran, who is obviously really enjoying the work we're putting in here. But he said that to me specifically, he said that I have to play the Resident Evil remakes because they're really good.
Oh, all of them, all 4.
Well, certainly 4. He was like, hey, you haven't played 4? And I was like, nah. And he was like, oh, you're missing out. So I'll try and take that on board.
Thanks, Kieran, for the donation of the $100 that you'll be spending on Guy's copy of Resident Evil 4 remake.
Or I guess technically you just loan it to me unless he downloaded it, in which case he couldn't.
Which one did you do, Kieran? Engage.
So yeah, Resident Evil 4, maybe I'll give that a play. I don't like the scary bits, in that one. There's some the whole town's after you in the beginning, and you're like, and then you're like, damn, this isn't good. And then a guy with a chainsaw is like, oh, you thought that was bad? Here I am.
You know those scary games? You know which parts I don't like?
The scary parts.
You'll never guess.
But I did greatly enjoy Resident Evil 4. It's a good change up from all the other ones.
Yeah, we'll say what you say about the 4th Resident Evil movie. But next episode is about Tekken, so we'll be covering that one. And thanks for watching or listening. We'll see you on the next one.
See you later.